Howdy folks, welcome to the channel and to Uni-Versus, a series where we take two things in fiction and put them to battle. Today, we're going to see if the Covenant's fleet at the Battle of Earth could successfully invade Kamino during the time of the Clone Wars. Let's get into it. If you clicked on this video, I can assume you know at least a little bit about either of these factions, but I'll still give a brief description of each. Starting off, the Covenant is a theocratic alliance of several alien species in the Halo universe. The Covenant was led by a race known as the Prophets, who promised the Covenant would ascend into godhood upon activating the Halo Array, a series of massive superweapons capable of destroying all life in the galaxy. These Halo rings were created by an ancient race known as the Forerunners, whom the Covenant worshipped. Upon discovering that humanity was actually supposed to inherit these Forerunner artifacts, the Prophets declared every human to be a heretic and that they were to be exterminated. Thus began the Human-Covenant War, which saw hundreds of burned worlds and billions of deaths, leading all the way to planet Earth itself during the final days of the war. In a galaxy far, far away, the Galactic Republic was a bureaucratic democracy led by Chancellor Palpatine. Years of political and economic unrest would eventually lead to a civil war between the Republic and the Confederacy of Independent Systems, led by Lord Sidious and Count Dooku. The Clone Wars lasted for years, reaching countless worlds with millions of deaths. Despite being outnumbered by the droid armies of the Separatists, the Republic managed to decisively win time and time again, thanks to their superior soldiers and ships. The Republic military was made up of peacekeeping Jedi and the Clone Army, which were created and bred on Kamino. Kamino is home to the cloning centers, where the DNA of bounty hunter Jango Fett is used to create these Republic soldiers. These clones were born and quickly trained to become skilled warriors, filling dozens of roles in the military, from frontline soldiers to crewmen aboard starships. Being the homeworld of the Clone Army itself, Kamino was vastly essential to the Republic and its war effort, and was always guarded by a surprisingly small defense fleet. Originally, I planned to use the Fleet of Particular Justice, commanded by Thel 'Vadam, for this matchup, but this force had dozens more ships than the Republic would have had, and I felt like that would be overkill. The Kamino Defense was surprisingly small considering the importance of Kamino, having only 15 ships according to Wikipedia. Because of this, I chose a similar-sized Covenant fleet to face them off. The Fleet of Sacred Consecration, as seen in Halo 2. The Republic's defense fleet consisted of 11 Venator-class Star Destroyers. These vessels were 1,137 meters in length and 548 meters wide. They also had 2 Acclamator-class assault ships, which were a bit smaller at 752 meters long and 460 wide, as well as 2 Arquitan-class light cruisers, which were only 325 meters long and 72 wide. This fleet was led by Admiral Wolf Yularen, as well as Jedi Generals Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker, and Shaak Ti. These ships fired standard and heavy turbo-laser cannons, missile launchers, and laser cannons. The Venators were carrier battleship hybrids capable of carrying hundreds of fighters each. The entire fleet would have had hundreds of V-19 Torrents, ARC-170s, and Y-Wing bombers, totaling over roughly 2,200 fighters. These would also carry hundreds of LAAT gunships. The clones as a whole here could number in the millions, ready to defend their cities, with a mix of standard clones, cadets, younglings, as well as ARC troopers and other special forces. This defense force was able to fight off a Separatist invasion force of over 15 ships that were led by General Grievous, with only minor losses. On the other side of this battle, we have the Covenant Fleet of Sacred Consecration, which consisted of 2 CAS-class assault carriers and 13 CCS-class battlecruisers, led by the Prophet of Regret. The CAS carriers were over 5,300 meters long and over 2,000 meters wide. The CCS cruisers were 1,782 meters long and over 860 meters wide. These ships fired powerful energy projectors, plasma torpedoes, laser turrets, and plasma cannons. For space combat, this fleet carried a total fighter count of 544 Seraphs and 384 Space Banshees. In addition, they had hundreds of Tick-class boarding craft and hundreds of Phantom dropships. For their ground forces, this fleet would carry over 120,000 soldiers with thousands of vehicles, including several Scarab Walkers and nearly 2,000 Banshees strictly used for atmospheric combat. Interestingly, the Fleet of Sacred Consecration actually stumbled on Earth by mistake, being an incredibly smaller force compared to what was meant to invade Earth. Despite this, the fleet was able to engage the UNSC Defense Fleet, which included multiple battle groups of orbital defense platforms, also known as ODPs, and over 100 ships. Covenant boarding parties managed to destroy some of the ODPs and help the fleet make it over Earth's orbit. The leading carrier, Solemn Penance, was able to shrug off MAC rounds from several ships and ODPs, which can fire in the multi-gigaton range. The Solemn Penance made it over the city of New Mombasa before later jumping to a newly discovered halo and escaping. Most of the human defense fleet was destroyed by the time the Covenant fleet was defeated. However, this victory for humanity was very much short-lived, as another Covenant fleet would be there soon after. In today's scenario, the Republic's fleet would have the objective of repelling or entirely destroying the Covenant fleet. The Covenant, however, need to destroy the Republic fleet and the cloning centers in order to win. So, how does this battle play out? Let's take a look. So, the Covenant fleet emerges from slipspace and into the system, where the Republic Defense Force prepares for the upcoming battle. As the Covenant close in, each faction will act accordingly. The Covenant will immediately start firing upon the Venators, launching plasma torpedoes and firing their long-range energy projectors. Meanwhile, the Venators will respond with firing their own turbo lasers and launching as many fighters as they can. Once they open these hangar bays, it will take time to get most of their fighters out, and some would unfortunately be fired upon by the Covenant energy projectors. The Republic fighters should still outnumber the Covenant Seraphs and Banshees, although most of the Republic fighters are unshielded. The Covenant vessels do have laser turrets designed against fighters, and the Seraphs should be able to survive more engagements thanks to their energy shields, but would probably struggle against some of the ARC-170s, and the Space Banshees are just going to be outclassed altogether. As far as the ship-to-ship combat goes, I think the Republic light cruisers won't last very long in this engagement. Their small size simply wouldn't be able to shrug off much Covenant offense. The Acclimators should do a little better, but I think the Venators are definitely going to be carrying the defense on their backs. If they try to single out battle cruisers and overwhelm their defenses, they can get some effective kills, especially with their Y-wing bombing runs. That being said, the Venators do have noticeable weak points, being their large hangars and exposed bridges, which would likely be key targets for Covenant torpedoes. And if the Covenant are able to dispatch some of the Venators pretty quickly, that would seriously limit the amount of fighters the Republic can put out. I believe it's also worth noting that Covenant vessels do have the ability to do in-system slipspace jumps to go around enemy ships, which could potentially allow Covenant ships to jump over the planet and flank ships, or even just start attacking Topeka City itself. As the battle goes on, I think those two large carriers are going to do a ton of damage in this fight, each being over 5 kilometers long and armed with multiple energy projectors and hundreds of turrets. Their sheer mass and powerful shielding can make them very difficult to take out. We did see during the Malevolence arc in the Clone Wars show that multiple Venators struggled to bring down the Malevolence, a ship of similar size to the assault carriers, simply due to its sheer mass, even when it was in retreat. And that brings me to the point that the Covenant ships are larger than the Republic ships, with the Acclimators and light cruisers especially being smaller. Republic ships are obviously well shielded and have decent armor, but I think those energy projectors from the Covenant, especially the larger ones from the carriers, are going to do serious damage. Covenant energy projectors are capable of one-shotting large UNSC ships and can glass planets, which does require tremendous power. If any of the Covenant ships do get over the Kaminoan cities, I see them immediately performing glassing operations. Without any foreigner relics to search for, the Covenant would likely prefer to simply destroy the cloning centers, thereby crippling the Republic's source of soldiers. If a CCS or obviously a CAS were to get past the defense forces and begin launching an attack on the cloning centers, they would do a ton of damage. The only reason the Separatists didn't do the same was because they wanted to steal the clone DNA. But the Covenant really wouldn't care for that at all. Even if they did, I do believe their soldiers would be much more effective in doing this than the droids were. There's definitely some argument that the Jedi, especially Anakin, would be able to do enough damage to the Covenant ships in space. But I think the attack may be too much for the Republic to counter effectively here. Covenant turrets are automated by their AI, and they have hundreds of them. The Jedi are exceptional beings that would do a ton of damage to the Covenant. However, I don't think it'll be enough in this scenario. If the Republic's fleet was a bit larger, I could see them fighting off the Covenant attack. But due to their smaller size and the sheer power of the assault carriers, I do believe the Covenant would emerge victorious more times than not. Without any immediate reinforcements, I don't think the Republic would be able to take down both of the carriers in addition to their 13 battle cruisers. I think the Acclimators and light cruisers are going to get taken out fairly early, and the Venators are just going to be outgunned in this fight. The Republic definitely have the superior fighters, and if they're led by Anakin Skywalker, he can lead many bombing runs to destroy CCS-class battle cruisers and potentially one of the carriers. We do see in the Halo 2 cutscene that the UNSC was eventually able to destroy the shields of the Covenant carrier and were able to pierce part of the hull for Master Chief to get through with a bomb. So it's certainly possible the Republic could pull off something similar there. However, I do believe overall the Republic is going to be outgunned and outmatched in this fight. They're going to get some good kills, but I think the Covenant are going to win today. And I think they win pretty convincingly, probably like 8 or 9 times out of 10. But what do you think? Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.